So tonight we are going to get started in our opening series in supported fish. So if you have two yoga blocks, you could stack them up like a T. So I don't have my other one here with me right now, but you can place one, oh, thank you, Jeff. You can place one behind your head and then the other one below your back. If you do not have two yoga blocks, you can take some throw pillows or even just a pillow, doesn't matter. It's really just to prop up your upper back so that you can open up and expand over it. So you might need to play around with your props a little bit, but bring your props up near your head. If you've just joined, we are getting started in supported fish tonight. So just come down onto whatever prop you have accessible to you, if it's a pillow or a couple blocks, and you'll just want to open your chest area so your head can either rest on that secondary block or perhaps a pillow, or you can just let it fall down to the mat so that you're really over and open on this pillow or block. And then with your arms, you can either goal post them out, and you likely, especially if you're really tight in your shoulder area and your chest. So if you do a lot of typing on your computer, or you're hunched over a lot, or you're texting on your phone all day, or scrolling Instagram or whatever, you might notice that your forearms are nowhere near the ground when you goal post them. So if that's the case, just hang with me here. As we open and begin our practice, you'll start to feel an opening happening in the front side of your body, and your forearms will start getting closer and closer and closer to the ground. So again, however feels good to you. If this is too intense of an opening, if you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so tight, I can't do this, you can always bring your hands down to a wide V with your palms faced down, or your hands to your belly. Again, it's your practice, so you do what feels good to you. But as we start to open up in our supported fish, just start to see where you're holding on to tension in your body. So you might notice your chest area is really tight, but can you just relax your shoulders away from your ears just a little bit and release any tension that you might be holding on to in your face, maybe in your hands, low back, just seeing where you can soften a bit, send some breath there. And this next 60 minutes on your mat is your time. And anything that I'm calling out to you tonight, if you need to modify, add more props, do something a little bit different, do something wildly different, this is your time to connect and be in your restorative practice. So I'm just here to guide you through, and you can of course choose a completely different practice for yourself, or just different modifications of what I'm calling for. You know your body best, you know what you need. Listen to your intuition, that thing, that gut feeling that we always tell ourselves that we have, red flags, or just things that maybe don't quite feel right, but you ignore them because you're like, no, I'm just scared, or I just need to think differently about something. But sometimes it's your intuition that's really pushing you to do something. So if you feel your gut feeling is like, I don't feel right in this yoga pose tonight, there's a reason for that. Don't push yourself further than you need to go. Of course, sometimes some of our postures are uncomfortable because you're opening up, you're lengthening, you're creating space for yourself, and you might feel a little bit of discomfort because you're not used to opening that part of your body, or you might be storing something, some kind of emotion or just tension or stress that you're finally able to release in our yoga. And that might be really uncomfortable, but just see if you can use your breath and see if it is truly discomfort in, letting things go and releasing and opening up, or if it's this posture isn't really working for me tonight. Either way, again, you know your body's best and you decide what you want to do with your evening. So on your next inhale, just let your belly fully expand all the way out as if a big balloon was in your belly. And then just release it all out. Let out all that stale air. Anything that you came to your mat with tonight, maybe you had a rough day at work or rough week or just crazy news day. It seems like every day lately, but especially on Wednesdays, I don't know what's up with that, but it seems like we've been having some crazy news stuff happening on days that we tend to have yoga. So seeing if you can just be here on your mat and all that other stuff definitely would be waiting for us when we're done. But for now, just see if you can focus on releasing, letting go, not worrying about stuff that we can't control, which is so often so many things, unfortunately, that we wish that would be different or that would have a different outcome, but we need to try to be here, be present, breathe through it, using our breath. Just take a few more rounds of breath here, setting any intention for class tonight. Maybe it's just being here, trying to be present on your mat for the next 60 minutes. Maybe it's letting something go. You're going to actively release when you're in different postures tonight, or maybe it's something that you still need, a word or a phrase that comes to your mind. And on your next inhale, just slowly roll to one side of your mat just to get your props out of the way. And then very slowly on your next inhale, just start to come up to a comfortable seated position. We are just going to take a moment here to sit and stretch out our upper body just a little bit before we really get into practice tonight. So we'll start in your seat, whatever easy seat position you can get. Just try to really ground your sit bones to the mat. So you might need to move some excess flesh from your seat, just wiggling your sit bones down. Then place your hands just softly on your knees and close your eyes. Just try to be still here. See if you can move or drop your shoulders away from your ears. Just let them roll down your back a little bit. And then very slowly take your right hand and place it on the left side of your temple. And then just start to gently nudge your head towards the right side. You should feel a stretch happening in the left side of your neck. Again, never painful. If you want some more stretch happening here than what's going on, you can always plant your left palm into the ground just for some more anchoring, and then you can kind of nudge your neck just a little bit more. And don't yank on it, don't tug. Your hand alone is enough weight to move and to lengthen. Just hold that there for a moment. Use your breath. And just release your right hand down. Take a moment to take your left hand and place it on your right knee. And then just start to twist over towards the right hand side, taking a gaze over your right shoulder. Using your breath here. And slowly come back to center. And we'll just swap that out to the other side. So when you're ready, just let your shoulders roll down your back. Gently grab onto the right temple or side of your face with your left palm. And then just start to slowly move your head tilted towards the left-hand side. And again, you should feel the stretch in the right side of your neck. And if you want that anchoring or just more intense stretch, you can place your right palm on the ground. Using your breath here. Again, not pulling your head, just gently nudging it, feeling that stretch. Come back to center, release your palm down. Take your right hand to your left knee and then just start to twist over towards the left, taking a gaze over your left shoulder. Move back to center. And then very slowly on your own time, just take a few neck circles in one direction. And anytime you feel an area of tension, so if you just feel like it's a little tight, just hold it there for a moment before you continue on your half circle from one direction to the other. So you'll just want to bring one ear to one side. And then again, pausing in any areas of tension, moving over to the other side, just really slowly on your own time. Seeing if you can start to feel the tension that's in your upper body and your neck area to start to release. Using your breath here, just closing your eyes, letting yourself move at your pace that feels good to you. Take 2 more rounds of breath here. Come back to center and then softly open your eyes. And we are going to take a wide-legged forward fold. You're more than welcome to just extend your legs out in front of you and keep your legs together if this is more comfortable to you. But if not, try this new variation, or this other variation, I should say. Bringing your legs out as wide as you can, and you might want to place one hand in front of you and one hand behind, lift your bottom up, and then scooch just an inch or two open so that you can get really into your thigh area. And then you'll want your props for this, just to be able to stack them up so that you're not hanging over your props so much. So you might need to play around with your props. Get your legs where you think they're cozy, get your props all set. And when you're ready, inhale, take your arms up, your gaze up. Reach so you feel the side bodies on both sides, your lats, your ribs, everything stretching out. On your exhale, just start to reach towards the front of the space. Reach, reach, reach as if someone's pulling your arms or holding onto your hands. And when you really start to feel like your spine is rounding, that's when you can release down into the props that you've set up. And this is where you might need to grab more props or move your props around. If you've got pillows, you can kind of scrunch them up and move them around so that you can really get cozy here, because we're going to be hanging over this forward fold and opening up our low back, which, you know, can kind of be uncomfortable. So you want to get into a shape that is comfortable as possible for you. And again, that's going to look different for all of us. And even from your different practices that you have, each time you join, you might find that, hey, my back's really not open yet because my hamstrings are super tight and I can't get very far in this forward fold. And that's completely okay. Just meet yourself where you're at. Close your eyes if you haven't done so already. And just really surrender into this forward fold, imagining that your chest could eventually touch the ground, which there are some people, and I'm sure you've seen them or seen photos of them, where they can grab their feet and bring their chest and their forehead down to the ground, which is, I'm nowhere near that at all. But if you do have that flexibility, you might be hanging out on the floor right now, and that's awesome. And if you're like me, you have like 25 props and you're nowhere near that point, and that's awesome too. So again, meeting yourself where you're at, using your breath to help open up your low back. It's also a really great hamstring stretch. Opportunity to just get your head a little bit lower than your heart, give your heart a little bit of a break, slowing your mind down. If you find yourself in yoga practice and your mind is racing, it's very common. It's very hard to stay still. It's very hard to sit with our thoughts. That's why a lot of people avoid restorative practice, because they would rather be racing around like they do all day so that they don't have to actually deal with the stuff that we usually just stuff down somewhere. And restorative usually brings that stuff to the surface. So it is a hard practice, even though we're doing a lot of sitting and laying and stretching and opening. So just allow whatever comes up for you to actually come up. And instead of having fear over what that stuff is, just let it go. Let it release. Leave it behind. Our worries and things that, again, we can't control. It's usually our fear of what could or could not happen that prevents us from doing so many awesome things in our lives. So, you might be holding yourself back and self-sabotaging and not even realizing it, talking yourself out of doing something big or going for a promotion or speaking up about something, because it's scary. But you can use your breath, you can find that courage, and know that it usually is fear that is holding us back from this stuff. So see where, instead of being fearful and worrisome, if you can just imagine that, what if everything works out? What if it goes right? What if it's the best possible outcome? Wouldn't that be so awesome? Take a few more rounds of breath here, releasing anything that no longer feels right to you, letting it go, breathing in some good energy. And when you're ready, slowly on your time, start to come up one vertebrae at a time. We've held this forward fold for quite a bit here, so take your time getting out of it. Move your props out of the way. If you've taken the wide leg variation, bring your legs back to center. Then just bend your knees, place your feet on the floor, and bring your palms behind your low back with your fingertips facing your glutes. And we'll just windshield wiper our knees from side to side just to loosen up low back, release that. And when you're ready, we are going to come to our mats. And toe tips to touch, knees out wide. We are going to take a step in child's pose. So take your time setting up here. Sink back into your heels. And then just start to crawl your fingertips forward. And then place your forehead down on something. So either the mat or a prop. Make sure that it touches down onto something. You feel that pressure in the middle of your forehead. It's really calming and soothing, and also really grounding. And if you've got a really tight upper back situation, tight lats, tight shoulders, you hold a lot of tension in your upper back, I'll let you know when we're halfway through, and if you want to, you can curl your fingertips over towards the right-hand side of your mat just to really get a good right side body stretch in your upper back, just to release some of that. So if you've taken that variation, just hang out there. If you're in the middle, stay where you're at. Just enjoy this child's pose. So start to see where, again, you're holding onto some tension here. Maybe you can soften the muscles in your face. Relax your jaw. Lower your shoulders away from your ears. And just really sink down into your sits bones to feel that stretch in your lower body as well. Use your breath here. And on every exhale, just imagine that you're melting into your mat just a little bit more. You're releasing, you're allowing yourself to just fully be in this child's pose. You have nothing else to do, nowhere else to go right now. You are here. So be here. Feeling that stretch, using your breath. And every time your thoughts start to wander to something else, just nudge yourself gently back to where you are right now, or maybe your intention that you set in the beginning of class, or just the fact that you signed up and showed up to yoga tonight, and like that's a huge victory for you. Just whatever that is, just have gratitude for that. And we're halfway through. So if you've taken the variation where you've curled your fingertips over towards the right, just bring them back through center and take a pause, and then slowly crawl them over to the left-hand side. Again, being mindful of your sit bones, making sure that they're evenly pressed back so that you're getting even weight in your sit bones. And then once you get situated, if you have made that move, just try to stay still. And if you're in the center of your mat still, just try to stay still. Fidgeting is because you're uncomfortable, because being still is excruciating sometimes, because that means you have to be with your thoughts or feelings or whatever. And, you know, instead of just being like, I'm fine, this is fine, everything's fine, you start to realize like, oh, maybe I'm not so great, or maybe this didn't go the way I wanted it to, or maybe I didn't say the thing that I thought I should have said, or whatever it is. But you can't change any of that stuff. So just see if you can let it go. You've curled your fingertips over to the left. Start to bring them back towards center. And on your next inhale, everyone just start to slowly come out of that. child's pose. Come back to your tabletop position. You might want to sway your hips from side to side just to release your low back. And when you're ready, we are going to take pigeon pose or sleeping swan. So from your tabletop, you're just going to slide your right knee in towards your right wrist, grab onto your right ankle, make sure that your foot or your shin is parallel-ish to the top of your mat. Then extend your left leg long behind you. And before you come all the way down, just take a quick peek over either shoulder to square your hips to the mat. Inhale, take your gaze up, and then just start to slowly crawl yourself down to put your pigeon to sleep. And friendly reminder, props are your friend in this pose. Really great to either place a block or a pillow or rolled up blanket underneath your right hip. You can grab onto a pillow or a couple pillows to prop up your upper body. So if you're like, I'm so far away from the ground and it's super uncomfortable, you can grab onto some pillows just to help hold you up. For me, it's just nice not to have to worry about my belly and all that stuff. So I grab onto some pillows here as well. And you can always take this on your back. So if this is just too intense for you, not feeling it tonight, take it on your back. And or you can take frog, your choice. Again, do what feels right to you. This is your class. And once you've found a position that feels good to you, just close your eyes if you haven't done so already. And just really surrender into this pigeon pose. Our hips store so much stuff, so much stress, so much worry, all the stuff that we think that we don't think about throughout the day, or we think that doesn't impact us long term. It just gets shoved in your hips, and then pigeon pose is your opportunity to let that crap go. So if things come up for you, thoughts, emotions, feelings, whatever, acknowledge them, don't judge them, let them go. You're cleaning out, you're making room, you're going to be lighter when you're done with this yoga practice. So just breathe in here, breathe out. Every time you breathe in, imagine you're breathing in something good because you've made some space for that good stuff. And every breath out, just imagine that you're getting rid of some of that old junk that you don't need to carry around anymore to make space for that good stuff. So just visualize that. Try not to clench your jaw. Try not to hold on to tension in your upper body. We just released a lot of that tension, so don't try to build that back up. We're more than halfway done with this side. So hopefully that brings a smile to your face, knowing that we won't be here forever. I'm not going to make you hold this for the rest of the class. The only thing that stinks is we have to do the other side because we can't be uneven. So, and each side's different, as you all know, and each side holds tension different. So this might be your really bad side, and you're just getting it done with and over with already, which is great news. Bad news if the left side's your worst side, because we still have to do that. But good news all around is that we only have one side left. So just keep breathing here, use your breath. Take a deep breath in. Big open mouth, sigh out. Let something go. Very slowly, when you're ready in your time, start to make your way out of this. And it's going to look different for all of us. So be kind to yourself as you come out. Might want to just move your props slightly out of the way. I'm just going to leave mine here, so I'm going to use them for the other side. And then before we jump into the other side, just take a moment to sway your hips from side to side. You might extend your right leg long behind you, pressing your toes into the mat. You can take some knee circles. Anything that's going to bring blood flow back to that side. And when you're ready, on your time, we are going to swap it out to the left side. So just come back to your tabletop position, unless you're taking this on your back, then you'll just swap it out. Slide your knee in toward your left wrist and then grab onto your left ankle, bringing your left shin parallel as you can to the top of your mat. Send your right leg long behind you. Take a peek over either shoulder just to help anchor your hips down. Inhale, take your gaze up. Exhale, start to fold over, coming into pigeon on your left side. And again, gonna feel different on this side. You might need more props, less props, no props, all the props. So kind of just felt like Dr. Seuss there a little bit, but just take your time getting set up here. Again, sometimes if you feel like you're really dumping into your left hip, like you're just really not able to hold yourself up for whatever reason, place a block or a pillow or something underneath that left hip. It really helps just set you up correctly, gets you in the proper alignment so that you can actually get the most benefits out of this pose. And sometimes if you are super flexible in your hip area, it's good you have that mobility, but you might be lacking some strength there. So you might be then dumping into your hip a lot more. So just stick something underneath your hip just to help get you to where you need to be. And once you've found a good spot, close your eyes, really stop fidgeting. It's so easy in this pose, especially because it's not comfortable. I don't know many people that really enjoy pigeon. I certainly don't. And I tend to move around a lot in this pose, so just trying to stay still. Get the most benefits out of being still in our restorative practice because it allows the connective tissue to actually stretch and release. Typically when you're stretching in normal yoga class or just on your own, you're not holding stuff long enough to really get into that fascia, that deep connective tissue. And so you can't really lengthen anything because you haven't spent enough time opening it up. Typically it's about 90 seconds is that sweet spot of holding, and then if you can hold it longer than that, you get more benefits out of it. But every time you move around and you fidget and you play around with your props, or you're like, I need to move because I'm going crazy, you're taking away from that time. So just really try to challenge yourself to stay still. Use your breath. And we're well past halfway through this side. So just use your breath here. Release what you need. Take in what you still need to. Take a deep breath in. Full open mouth, side out, let something go. Slowly on your next inhale, start to make your way out of this side. And you might need to take more time than the opposite side. Just listen to your body here, do what feels right. Taking any kind of variation that feels good to you. Again, you might want to extend your left leg back or take some knee circles in one direction and then the other. Move your hips back and forth, release your low back, whatever feels good. And when you're ready, take a seat and come down all the way down to your back, but you'll need props because we are going to do supported bridge. So either grab like a bigger book, a yoga block, or if you have pillows, those will work too, but keep them handy next to you as we come down to our spine. So lower one vertebrae at a time. Come down to your back, planting your feet into the mat with your knees up towards the ceiling. And then see if you can graze your heels with your fingertips. That's how you'll know that your lower body is kind of in the right position. Grab onto whatever prop that you have available to you. And on your next inhale, lift your hips up, really ground down into your feet, so that you can place your prop on your low back for your supported bridge. So just taking a moment here to set up properly. You can always do the test where you can lift your legs up to the ceiling to see if you've got your block, book, or pillow in the right spot. You can bring your hands down facing the ground for some grounding, or to your tummy just to feel your breath and make sure that you're breathing in your belly instead of your chest area. So just taking what you need here, what feels good. This is a slight inversion. Your head is a little bit lower than your heart. Just give your body a little bit of a break. It's a really great pose to start to slow down your breathing in. Helps you really get ready for bed and just the rest of your evening. So if you haven't been paying attention to your breath, now is a great time to tune into that and just see if you can count how long it takes you to inhale, and then count on the way out when you're releasing your breath on your exhale, and see if they're the same number. So let's say it's a 4 or 5 count. If it's really short, if you're just taking like 3 counts in, 3 counts out, seeing if you can lengthen that just a little bit, see if you can just slow your breathing down. And if you're like, yeah, I don't care, I'm not paying attention to my breath, that's fine. But I just want to tell you that if you can tune into your breath, even if it's just for 1 or 2 cycles of breathing, you force yourself to be present in your body instead of in your own head thinking about a million things. So it actually really does help relax and reset a little bit. So highly recommend, especially if you've been really stressed out lately or you're just like beyond overwhelmed with everything. Just see if you want to give it a try. See if you can just breathe in here and breathe out here. Whatever round of breath you're on, just finish that cycle. And when you're ready, just ground down into your feet enough to lift your hips up to remove whatever prop. And then slowly lower your hips down to the mat. Bring your knees in towards your chest and just sway from side to side, loosening up your low back. And when you're ready, we are going to take a round of supine twists. So If you're like me and can't lay totally flat for a while, you can grab a pillow or two to prop your upper back up a little bit as we take these twists, and then you can use another prop while we twist. So while you're here, tee out your arms, bring your knees into a 90-degree angle, and then slowly on your next exhale, start to tip your knees over towards the left-hand side. And if it's too intense of a stretch for you, you can take a prop, a pillow, a blanket, a block, anything, place it underneath your bottom knee or in between your knees just to help you open up here. And pay attention to your upper body. If your right shoulder blade has popped off of either the mat or your prop, just see if you can square it back down so that your upper body is open. And you can also always place a prop behind your low back. If you're having difficulty kind of getting into this twist and holding it, or just being comfortable here, you can always place something behind your low back as well, just to help you hold this twist a little bit. But this is an open twist. It's really good for opening up our low back, stretching out our hip flexor, and our IT band, giving our body just a chance to wring out, release, and renew. So taking some time here. And if you haven't already, bring your gaze over towards your right fingertips and then slowly close your eyes. Allowing yourself to breathe in here. Breathing out. Finding a shape that feels good to you. Trying not to fidget. If it feels intense, you can always come off the twist and just twist slightly over towards the left-hand side. Again, this is your practice. You find what feels right in your body. We're all so different. My practice has evolved a lot since becoming pregnant, and adapting my practice has been a fun challenge because each week I'm like, oh, now I need a new prop here and I want to use a prop here. So even if you aren't having this type of change within your body, you still could be having other types of change in your body, just depending on how much or how little you're working out, or how much stress you have at work or at home, or both. How much you're moving, how much you're not. So again, just being gentle with yourself, using the props when you're feeling like you need a little something, not letting your ego get in the way of that. Few more rounds of breath here. When you're ready, slowly come back towards center, and you might need to adjust, move props, whatever. Bring your knees back to your center, teeing out your arms, and then just start to tip your knees over towards the right side. And again, you might need to switch your props around. This side might feel a lot different to you. You might get really deep into the twist on this side, or you might say, yeah, no, this doesn't feel good, I'm not doing it. And that's awesome too. So listen to yourself and what you need. I've got a pillow underneath my upper back. I've got a pillow jammed in my low back on the left side, and I have a block underneath my knees. And you know, this is the most supported and most blocks that, or most props I've ever used, probably in my yoga practice, and it feels awesome. So listen to what would feel good to you. Bringing your gaze over towards your left fingertips if you haven't done so already, and closing your eyes. Tuning back into your breath. Seeing if you can lengthen your inhales and your exhales. Just really let something go. We're more than halfway done with this side. So if you need to adjust, you certainly can, but try to stay still. And if you've been fidgeting or your mind has just been racing with thoughts, just try to, again, bring your attention back to your breath, back to your body, paying attention to any areas of tension, sending your breath there, allowing yourself to finally be still, to finally rest, to actually rest. Take one more round of breath here. And on your next inhale, move any props out of your way. And start to bring your knees back towards center. And then just roll from side to side just to loosen up your spine. Let your spine touch down, loosen up your low back. And when you're ready, we're going to take Supta Baddha Konasana or supine butterfly. So soles of your feet to touch, your knees will come out wide. And if this opening is just way too intense for you, you can grab onto your props and place them underneath your knees to allow them to rest onto something so that they're not just hanging open without any support, because gravity, while we're opening up here in this posture, your knees are going to start going closer and closer and closer to the mat or the ground, but holding it there with no support sometimes can feel like a lot on our low back. So listen to your body. If just hanging out like that isn't feeling good to you, grab onto your props, allow yourself to rest fully on those props. You're still doing opening, you're still opening the front and the back side of your body here. you're still doing a lot of good. So no worries if you are using props like I am. But if you aren't using props and you're feeling that sensation of opening in your hip area, near your hip bones and your inner thighs, your low back, just send your breath there. And on every exhale, just imagine that your knees are just coming a little bit closer to the ground. Again, not forcing, don't push your knees down to open up. Nothing crazy like that. Just let them gently hang, and gravity will do its magic to help open you up. The more that the connective tissue in these spots are allowed to open. So see where you can soften. See where you can let go. This is another great pose where you can bring your hands to your belly and feel the rounds of breath, seeing if you're even breathing with your belly or if you're doing all your chest breathing that we typically do all day. Just pay attention. Seeing if you can really start to really slow that down. Two more rounds of breath here. Taking in what you still need, letting go of what you don't. On your next inhale, slowly close your knees back together like a book. Bring your knees in towards your chest. You can just rock from side to side. If you want, you can take a happy baby here, grabbing the outer edges of your feet or just your shins, swaying from side to side just to really get into your low back. And on your next exhale, we are going to come to our final resting shape, our Shavasana. So you can stretch out here. You can come to a nearby wall, do legs up the wall. You can put some props underneath your knees and stretch out. If you aren't comfortable laying totally flat on your back for a few minutes, you can either prop yourself up with some pillows underneath your upper back, or you can come to your side and just lay on your side facing one direction or the other. Again, just whatever feels good to you and your body. Find that shape. And then see where, before you fully surrender and take some time to actually rest, see where you're holding on to tension. So doing a quick body scan, seeing if you're maybe furrowing your eyebrows. So just seeing if you can relax your eyebrows just a little bit, softening the muscles in your face, releasing your jaw, maybe removing your tongue from the roof of your mouth, allowing your shoulders to move away from your ears, just letting them melt down your back. Loosen your grip in your fingertips, allowing your hands to soften. Releasing your low back. And then allowing your feet to just let gravity bring your toes to either side of the mat, just to really open up and release here. And on your next exhale, just be silent with your thoughts and enjoy your rest. Shavasana is here as long as you need tonight. You're in your own space, and if you're comfortable, continue to rest as long as you need. But if you're ready to reawaken enough to move on with the rest of your evening and hopefully head to bed shortly, start to bring a little bit of awareness back to your body by wiggling your fingers and your toes. And then roll to either side for a brief stop in fetal pose. Closing your eyes, just allowing yourself a quick moment to collect yourself. Then slowly on your next inhale, push yourself up to a comfortable seated position. Bringing your hands to your heart center and softly close your eyes once you're there. Take a deep breath in. Big sigh out, let it go. Breathe in something awesome, something amazing that you still need for your week. Breathe out something you no longer need. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight. I hope you all sleep so well and have a great rest of your week. Namaste.